Shalom, this is Levi Shore. Welcome back to Swing Good Torah. So we're going to learn about Parsha Vayera. So when Hashem starts to build the Jewish people, he starts with Abraham, who is the embodiment of kindness, of chesed. And at the end of last week's Parsha, when Abraham was 99 years old, Hashem tells him to circumcise himself. So it's said, like, on the third day after someone's circumcised, it's the most painful day. So Abraham is very distressed at the beginning of this Parsha, because main thing he does is he invites guests into his home and he teaches them about Hashem and the Torah and the mitzvos. So he's very distressed that he can't do this. So first Hashem himself comes to visit Abraham, and it's showing this mitzvah Bikur Cholim, of kindness, of visiting the sick. And then Hashem sends these three malachim, these three angels to come, and Abraham runs out and he slaughters 3 oxen, and he makes like 9 seahs gives 9 seahs of wheat to Sarah to bake into bread and cakes. And we see this amazing hospitality, even though he's in this great pain. And all he wants to do is this kindness and this hospitality. And this is the first ingredient of creating the Jewish people. Now, it's interesting because Yitzchak, who is going to be born in this Parsha, is the second ingredient. And Yitzchak represents Gevura. And what Gevura is, it's strength. But what it really is, it's self-restraint. It's restraining ourselves from our physical desires, and then this allows us to elevate ourselves and more enjoy the spiritual pleasures of the world. So it's interesting because Yitzchak's name, it means he will laugh. And when most people think about laughter and pleasure, like most people, I think they come to mind with all the physical desires, like most people like a nice gourmet meal, or sitting on this beautiful Caribbean beach, or drinking like a fine wine or an alcohol. And I think most people, like the first thing that comes to their mind is is a physical, indulging in your physical pleasures. But it's interesting because Yitzchak is going to teach us that the greatest thing, that the greatest pleasure, and this is also a teaching from Rav Noach Weinberg Zal of the Rosh Yeshiva of Eshet Torah, and he often taught about the 5 levels of pleasure. And he said the 5th level of pleasure is indulging in the physical pleasures of the world. But he said the first level, the first class, the first level of pleasure, the highest level of pleasure we can have in this world is a close relationship and interaction with Hashem. And if you think about it, a lot of people, like, they want to meet like a famous movie star, or maybe some people want to meet a famous politician or a sports star or a sports hero. And it's interesting because really, I mean, if you could meet anyone, if you could talk to anyone and question anyone about their life, I mean, wouldn't you want to talk to this infinite being, this infinite creator that's created everything and sustains everyone? And wouldn't that be the person that you want to have the closest relationship with? So we're going to learn about Yitzchak and how, Yitzchak represents laughter, and how this restraint leads to the highest form and the purest form of laughter. So let's look first. So Sarah is listening to this conversation of these 3 malachim, and one of the malachs, one of the angels, Michael, he announces to Abraham that at the very same time the next year that they're going to have a child. Now it's amazing because Abraham at this point is 99 and Sarah is 89, and that's well beyond the natural world of when people would have children. And I think 10 out of 10 scientists will tell you it's absolutely impossible for a 99-year-old man and an 89-year-old woman to have a child. It's impossible. It's never going to happen. And people would laugh at it. People would laugh derisively if they heard, somebody say this. So Sarah herself laughs. So let's take a look at the pasuk. I think it's chapter 12, and it's pasuk 12, and it says here, "Vatitzchak Sarah bekir ba lemor achrei belosi haisa li edna ve'adoni zaken." So Sarah laughed at herself, saying, "And after I have withered, shall I again have delicate skin? And my husband is old." So we see here that the first nace happened for Sarah, that she saw her old wrinkled skin begin to rejuvenate, and it said her nida returned her that day, like her menstrual flow miraculously returned. But it's interesting because she still laughed, and Onkelos and Rashi say here that she laughed derisively, like unlike Abraham who laughed joyously. So why did she laugh? So Rashi says that she reflected on her withered physical condition. So rather, bekir ba, within herself. She laughed bekir ba at her inside. She laughed at her old body, and she wondered whether in her withered state, she could produce a child. This is according to the Tanchuma and the Rashi. And Bekir Ba is the Mizrahi brings that. So it's interesting because I think so many people have this reaction because we see our own limitations. So let me read one more thing. So it says, this reaction indicated her utter disbelief in the possibility of the prediction, as if such a thing were beyond Hashem's powers. Therefore, Hashem was angry with her and not with Abraham. And it's the Midrash Agadah. Now, I think so many of us fall into this because we start to get all these things that happen in our life. All these things that is not what we want. Like maybe our health is failing. We're having economic pressure. Maybe we're having fights with friends or relatives. Or, we're having problems with the kids, like the kids aren't doing what we want, or we want kids and we don't have kids, or we're looking for a husband or a wife, whatever people's circumstances are, there's this struggle of their life is not where they want it to be. And we feel this constriction within ourselves. We feel ourselves limited, even though we know maybe intellectually that Hashem is this infinite being and Hashem can do anything. We feel so limited within ourselves that we can't see. We have this very little narrow-minded view sometimes of the world and all these problems and all these obstacles. So it's interesting. So then a year later, or 9 months later, when Sarah miraculously at the age of 90 has this child, then we see something very different. Then we see the pasuk, and it's in I think it's chapter 21, and it's pasuk vav 6. So then it says, Vatomer Sarah tzechok asa li Elokim ki hashomea yitzachak li. So then it says, Sarah said, Hashem or Elokim has made laughter for me. Whoever hears will laugh for me. So what does this mean? So she's saying that Elokim has made laughter for me. And Rashi says here that she has great joy and happiness at this miraculous event. Now here's even an amazing thing. So kol hashomea yitzachak li, that whoever hears will laugh for me or to me. So they will rejoice for my sake. So the Midrash asks, well, Sarah was remembered and had cause to rejoice. Why should others rejoice with her? What did it matter to them? So the reason for the universal joy was that when Sarah was remembered, many barren women were remembered along with her. Many sick were healed on that day. Many prayers were answered along with hers. And there was much joy. There was sechok, there was laughter in the world, according to Rashi. So will laugh, filling his mouth with song and good-natured laughter for the wonder that has been wrought for me, the Ramban. And it's also possible that Sarah's intent was that whoever hears of my childbirth will laugh at me, in derision of my earlier skeptical laughter when the angel first brought the tidings of his birth, the Abarbanel. So we see a lot of things here. So they're saying, the highest pleasure, the first-class pleasure a person can have in this world is this close relationship with Hashem. If you feel that this infinite being is always with you, is always helping you, and if you expand the consciousness, and all of a sudden you see that, all these things, this bad health I was going through, or this economic, hardship, or this problem with the kids, or the problem with friends, or the problem with family, or whatever problems were, or even sometimes you get multiple things coming from all directions, and you feel so limited within yourself, and you have such a small, narrow, finite view of the world. But when that consciousness expands, and you see the bigger picture, and you see, wait a second, there's really this infinite being that loves me, and is really bringing these things on me to help me grow, to help me become greater, to show me and test me and show me who I can really be. And when you feel that, all the sadness, the depression, it just lifts. It lifts from you, and you feel this great laughter inside of you, and you see what the world's really about. That all this stuff that was blocking you, and all these obstacles and all these things crashing down on you were really always there to help you grow and to help you pull yourself up and to see your potential. Someone's sparring and boxing, and the person is bringing out their best because the person is jabbing and punching, and the person jabbing and punching back. And that's what life is. Hashem is throwing these tests and these spiritual tests at us, and He's helping us grow. And the more that we can show that gevurah, that strength of Yitzchak, and we can break away from the physical desires that are holding us back and start to live a more spiritually elevated life and see a more broad view of life and of everything, we feel that deep laughter within us. And eventually, when the Jewish people, may it be soon, when, Hashem sends Mashiach and we're finally redeemed, and all this hardship and exile and anti-Semitism and being kicked out from country to country and just feeling this hatred towards us, when we're just a people that started with kindness. And the second step is this gevurah, this self-restraint. And they're going to eventually see this great people and what we've done and how we've helped uplift the world. So let's all try to grasp onto that gevurah of Yitzchak so we can feel the laughter and we can feel that closeness that Hashem is always with us. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you again on Sweet and Good Torah. All the best.